And it's very nice to see people living with happiness, looking at each other with happiness. Because I believe there is nothing greater than happiness in this world. We are all seeking happiness. And we try to find happiness by associating with people outside. And sometimes we find it. Sometimes it is short-lived. Sometimes we can stretch it longer. But what I have discovered in the course of my own life, now nearly getting to 89 years, what I have discovered in my own life is that happiness comes from inside and not outside. If you are happy inside, you not only show happiness outside, you make other people happy, and then it looks like you are getting happiness from outside. But the truth is that true happiness comes from within our own self. Now, how is that happiness should come from inside and not from outside? Because our true self, which generates that happiness, which generates joy and bliss, is inside us and not outside. We have experiences outside which are created by our mind, created by our body, created by our sense perceptions. These experiences outside are only experiences, but they do not constitute happiness. We can get an experience of happiness from something outside if we are happy inside. Now take the example of a small child. He goes with his parents to a carnival, to an amusement park, and he sees those big Ferris wheels, those giant big wheels going round and round. He sees those little moving horses going up and down, and he sees all those great rides there. Feels so happy. He thinks that the happiness is coming from those things, that the big Ferris wheel in which you can go round and round is creating happiness. Supposing that little child lets go of the hand of his mother or his father and gets lost in that crowd. Those very things begin to look like monsters, and the child howls and cries. The very thing that were giving him happiness is now giving him horror and giving him fear and fright. Nothing has happened to things outside. They are still the same. But his reaction, his sense is different. He was thinking that he was getting happiness from outside, but the happiness was coming from inside. What was happening inside that gave him that happiness? The security of holding his mother's hand. The security he had somebody to take care of him. The security he can't be lost. We are trying to get happiness here in this world, and we don't find it outside. We only find it when we are secure inside, when we feel that somebody is holding our hand inside. When we have that faith that there is someone protecting us and holding our hand, we get happiness outside. Now that being something internal, who could it be? We have tried this with human beings. We have tried to hold the hand of human beings, tried to be close to them, and temporarily we feel happy. After some time, we don't. Why is that? I meet many friends of mine. They meet their boyfriend or girlfriend. They are young. They say, we have met our soulmates. And they are very happy. They say, we are identical soulmates, same ideas, same values, and we love each other so dearly. We are going to get married. We seek your blessing. I say, I bless you. God bless you. Go ahead and enjoy your married life with soulmates. After 3 months, they come back to me. We are in divorce court. And I ask them, what happened? They say, we knew from day one that we were not meant for each other. I said, that is not what you said on day one. So these experiences that we have are so temporary and they do not last. So when we try to find happiness always from outside, we do not get it. But if we have an experience of security, somebody holding our hand inside, we'll be happy all the time and look at this world in a way that's all generating happiness. And if the security is lost, then we are unhappy. And the question is, how do we become secure? How can we become so secure inside that we are always happy? That security can come if our inner self, not this physical body, the inner self, which constitutes our sense perceptions, our inner self, which constitutes our thinking mind, our inner self, which constitutes our consciousness and our soul, if that part of us is secure and feels there is somebody holding the hand there, we'll be happy always outside. And that's a great secret to know, that you can find someone to hold your hand inside and you are happy both inside and outside. The question is, how do we find that? Some people think that by worship to God, worship to a deity, worship to somebody they love, they are able to manifest that, and they are able to become happy by saying, I have faith and I have trust in God, I have trust in that person, I've got trust in a master, I've got trust in a belief system. They use that as a means to hold their hand and be happy. But the problem arises that when they hold the hand of these different beings, they do not realize they are holding the hand of their own mind. Because the mind makes up these things. The mind imagines these things, and therefore they think they are holding the hand, but the mind is very tricky. The mind will give you a good feeling in one moment and create doubt and fear in the next moment. Everybody's mind is capable of creating doubt and fear every time we are certain of something. Our gut feeling says, this is definitely the truth. 5 minutes later, the mind says, how can you be sure? And creates doubt. It's the nature of our human mind to create doubt and skepticism. It's not a bad thing. If we had no skepticism, if we had no doubts, we would never learn anything. We would be all followers of blind faith. We would never investigate what the truth is. Therefore, some skepticism is good. Some doubt is good to get certainty. To approach something for certainty is a good thing. But then the mind, by creating doubt, takes away our happiness. And doubt is followed by fear. Because when you have doubt, you are not sure what is going to happen. It's an uncertainty that's created, insecurity that's created by doubt. And every time you have a doubt, it is accompanied by fear. So you are afraid. It's amazing how many people are living in fear, insecure, afraid. If you ask them, what are you afraid of? They will say, we don't know. What kind of fear is that when you don't even know what you are afraid of? But the truth is, most of our fears in this world are fear of the unknown, fear of what we don't know. When we know something, we are not afraid. The fear is replaced by a different kind of emotion, a different kind of reaction. If we are in a forest, somebody tells us there's a tiger, man-eating tiger, stalking us somewhere. We are very frightened, afraid. We are afraid till we see the tiger. When we see the tiger, we run, we climb the tree, we do something. The whole fear is replaced by a different emotion in how to tackle this situation. Therefore, fear is always of something we don't know. What will happen tomorrow? What will happen behind that door? What will happen here? When we don't know, we are afraid. Now, this is the nature of the mind, to create these doubts and these fears. That is why we cannot steadily hold the hand of anyone inside so long as it is being done with our mind. So there must be a better way to become more secure and get everlasting happiness outside and inside. Now that is where we come into a relationship with people, a relationship with persons whom we call perfect living masters. Who are these people? Perfect living masters are those who have ascended in consciousness above the mind. They have been able to separate themselves from the mind. They have been able to separate their experiences inside and outside from the mental process of thinking. and they go with their intuition, they go with their gut feeling, and they go with a strong power of love. These powers of intuition and love and the ability to appreciate, the ability to see what is beauty and what is bliss and joy do not belong to the mind. But they are still with us. Actually, they are really the qualities and the functions of our own true self. They would be called spiritual values. These values of intuition and of love and beauty, these are the values that are embedded in our souls, in our true self. There is no thinking involved when you have these experiences. Thinking takes you away from these things. You will never fallen in love with somebody by thinking about it. But very often you have got out of it by thinking about it, because you create doubt about it. So that is why this internal feeling, where your consciousness is leaving the mind behind, not dependent on the mind, but becoming independent of itself, that is what can give you that feeling of confidence, security, where there is no doubt and no fear. Now, we all have that. We all have souls. That is why we are alive. Soul is the life force. Soul is the power of consciousness that makes our mind work. Soul is the power that makes the senses work. Soul is the power that makes this body work. We are alive because of our soul. And the soul has no fear. And the soul has no doubt. The soul relies upon intuitive knowledge, does not rely upon thinking and reasoning. But when it identifies itself, when our soul identifies itself with the mind, begins to think mind, soul are the same. And I think, therefore I am. Which is not true at all. It's not that because you think you are, and you have a mind, and through the mind you think. That's the truth. You're independent from the mind. The soul is independent from the mind. And once you have an awareness that you are not the mind, you can separate yourself from the mind. You can have that fearless state, the state of certainty and no doubt, which you can never have while you are operating with the mind. There are people who have transcended this tie-up with the mind. They have been able to go above the mind, and they have discovered their own souls. And therefore they have certainty in what they do, and they have the hand held of the soul, of the truth beyond the mind, with fearlessness. And when we come across such people, and they are human beings like us, when we come across such people, they pull us with that love, that intuitive power, and with the power of the soul, and we are drawn to them. When we can have them as our companions, and they operate from that level beyond the mind, we get a sense of security that no mental effort can ever give. Therefore, that's an important role of these people, to come in our midst and give us the security that we need, so we get everlasting happiness and not temporary happiness from little events here or there.